Hi guys, it's Blackie today for the Percussion Revolver series, and I'm going to talk a little bit of a little improvement you can make to your Dragoon revolvers. Now, Colt's locking latch on it where you push straight back and there's a hook right there that hooks onto this. As manufactured is usually not that effective, and I'll tell you why, and I'm going to draw this out for you in just a second. But in a nutshell, this tab that it hooks to is a little too rounded and is not quite deep enough to allow for the latch to fully engage and hold it properly. There has to be a gap there that whenever you push it down, it comes past it. But at the same time, it needs some sort of locking area. Plus, we have to remember that when we fire, the barrel actually stretches out just a couple of thousandths. Under super high speed camera, and this is not just for percussion revolvers, but you'll see it especially in rifles, modern guns, 270s, 243s, etc. The barrel will actually elongate just a grunt because steel is more elastic than rubber given the right thrust, pressures, and etc. It actually will flex. And because of that, when you fire, the barrel actually flexes out just a grunt. Yes, the recoil whips the barrel up, but that adds a little bit of slack right there, and even though that's a fairly stiff latch right there, you can still unlatch and drop the loading lever. You see this big time on walkers because the anchor point's way back here. And I've talked about in a previous video about how to tighten up that latch. We're going to use the same idea here. So let me show you on the board what we're going to do, and then we'll come back. Okay, here's the barrel and here's the latch. This tab that it locks onto is a little too rounded. Now I'm going to exaggerate it here, but come down and it would come down like this, come out, and then it kind of rounds out, and then it comes back down like that. That rounding is whenever the actual hook is sitting on this rounding edge right here, like that. And that isn't a good connection because that bulge kind of holds it out. So what I do is, on the very front edge of this right here, this is just this latch, I flatten that out just a little to make it more vertical so that it's not holding that loading latch in. Next, right here on the top, I'm going to make this flat. So it's more of a 90-degree right here, okay? Also on this latch right here, I'm gonna bevel that top edge just a little bit, make it easier to go click and pop it back up into place instead of most of them coming are 90 degrees and won't pop back over. That's the reason they're rounding this. They're wanting it where you can pop it over. Reverse it. Round that top edge. Only this part in here should actually be sitting up there and hooking on that edge. The top doesn't hold it. It's the bottom of that notch that reaches out and does like two fingers and does like that. Well, see, if it's pushed out like this, it can't get deep enough because this is in the way. If I flatten it up, now it can get further in. If I flatten this top, it comes up here and it grips more. Okay? So your simple fix is to take the file and on the top edge of that, the top of this hook, square it off in the front edge. Don't do much. You don't want to back it up a lot, but just take the rounded off. Just make it more of a 90 degree. Okay? That way this latch should hook it and hold it. If that does not sufficiently hold it, then this notch in here that goes inside, there's a pin right there. So the pin would go right here. The pin is the limiting part. It actually, when the latch is all the way forward, it's sitting right there. And that stops it from going too far out. What you can do is drive that little pin out, and what you have in here is going to be a shaft and a spring that goes inside the body of the loading lever. You then take this pin out, just drive that pin out, and you come back here and you deepen this notch just a little bit more. No more than the thickness of a dime. I wouldn't go beyond that, and I really wouldn't even really need that. Then reassemble it. Now, a small finishing nail, okay, will do just fine. You take that nail and you push it in and you drive the nail through the hole, and then you're going to cut it off on either side, put it onto an anvil and lightly tap it with a hammer and peen the edges to keep it from coming back out of that hole. Okay, that's how I've repaired mine several times. Let me repeat that. In the loading lever, you're going to have, and this is sideways, a hole. Okay, you're going to take a small finishing nail and you're going to push it through that hole all the way through, so that you have, like this, the loading lever, and you got a nail with a head. Once it's all the way through, now you're going to cut it off on this side and cut it off on that side and leave just a little bit. So it's a little wider than the hole, okay? Not much, but just a little. And then you're going to put this onto a hard surface and take a hammer and go tap, 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 tap that nail. Just tap, 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 turn it over the other side. Tap, 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 turn it over. Tap, 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 tap. Do it 10, 15 times on the side, and what happens is that soft nail will actually flare out a little bit to keep it from coming back out of the hole. Always go like tap, 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 and test it. Wiggle this thing back and forth. You don't want it to flare inside and bind you up. So, you can replace the pin real easy that way. But by doing that and deepening that notch, that loading latch will come further out and give you a better engagement on this connection. Usually this is not needed. Simply squaring this off a little bit and that tip right there, making sure it's not rounded, is all you got to do. And it will grip and hold up a Dragoon's loading lever. That's all you got to do. Okay, so that's the basic idea. By deepening that notch to where this latch has more of a purchase, and or if that doesn't work, removing that pin and deepening the slot inside of the actual component, the part, so that that latch comes further out, will cure that problem and make it. When I first got this, it would drop the loading lever about 1 out of every 5 shots. Now it doesn't. And it's simply because I've tightened it up and have it a more of a grip there to hold it and make it hold better. Hope you've enjoyed this, guys. There'll be more tips and tricks coming along. If you have, please hit that like and subscribe button. I'd greatly appreciate it. And until next time, guys, I'm Blackie wishing you safe journeys. Have a great day, guys.